It's absolutely fantastic. So congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So I was wondering if you could start off by telling our listeners a little bit about yourself as an artist. Like, when did you first fall in love with music?
I fell in love with music probably a little bit later than some other artists because I actually didn't do music in high school. So I didn't actually decide to pursue music until I was about maybe like 17, 18 years old. And I think I just developed a love for it because I was able to get um, like a lot of emotion in the way that I wanted to portray like my daily struggles in songs. And I found great, and I really enjoyed hearing people relate to the songs. I think that's definitely the thing that keeps driving me on to this day. When people go, "Oh my god, it's wild hearing someone sing about that when no one talks about it or no musician like mentions it in any of their songs."
Yeah, yeah. And what kind of music did got you into music? Like, was there a certain artist or was there a certain style of music that you found that you related to more?
Oh, there's like honestly, there's so many. I'm like heavily inspired by um, David Bowie and Billy Joel. Those two guys are pretty like cornerstones in my in my like inspirations, but also like modern ones would have to be like Mumford and Sons and Macklemore. I love all those guys, but like I said, there are so many influence influences to my music that honestly it's taking me forever to list them all.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm exactly the same. And you
Yeah.
mentioned that you found that writing music was a way to kind of let your emotions out and talk about your everyday life. Was there a moment that you started doing that? Like, did someone say to you that writing music would be the best way to do that, or what kind of sparked you writing music?
Well, one of the first songs I ever like officially wrote because I'd done a few little like just little I'd done a few little dribbles here and there, but my first song I ever wrote was a song called "I Hate My Job," which was when I was an apprentice baker in Gympie, and a lot of people, and even though it sounded terrible, a lot of people like related to it, and I think that was one of the main things that got me up there because got me up and thinking, wow, I really enjoy people that can relate to the songs because obviously everyone's had a job once upon a time that they absolutely despised and they hated. So I think there was just sort of like obviously a lot of people write songs about love, but I think it was just that where you write about stuff that people can relate to, and I feel like they connect to the song so much better when it's something that's a little bit left to center that obviously not a lot of people talk about.
Yeah. Was it like almost like a diary for you? Was it a way to kind of let out what was on your mind every day?
It's weird because it's almost subconscious when I do it because my method of writing songs, especially when I come up with the lyrics before the music, often at times subconsciously I'll be um, using words that relate to something that is happening to me at that moment, or something that I'm worried about or I'm thinking about, and I think without me even realizing it, the way what I'm thinking about is influencing my songs, um, which is which is wild for me to obviously admit that most times I don't even know that I'm doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I'm the same with writing. Sometimes I'll sit down and start writing a poem and I won't even know that I'm doing it until I've finished it. So it makes perfect sense.
yeah,
Um,
right.
yeah, you also started busking at 16. Tell us a little bit about how that came about and what was it like the first time you went busking?
To be honest, I think busking is one of the most underrated things a musician can do. I could not recommend to someone who doesn't even like isn't even doing their own originals yet, and they've like literally just picked up an instrument, but they have ideals for bigger and better things. I could not recommend enough to that artist, go and busk. So if you haven't performed and you don't have anywhere to perform, get yourself a bunch of songs, go out there and busk. And it's intimidating as all hell, and it's scary because you're being judged by these strangers that just walk by, but that's the beauty of it. They don't affect you, but you get used to them just walking and not being present in what you're doing. And I think the artists need to learn that you're performing for your own satisfaction. The satisfaction of others comes much, much later, but right now you need to be aware that what you're doing is for you.
Yeah.
So with busking, that is by far one of the best things that a musician can do at the start. And that's how I learned. I was busking in Gympie, and I was doing covers, and I would play for 3-4 hours at a time. And I would just be, and obviously you're just used to it. And sometimes people put money in the box, sometimes they don't put money in the box, and you just learn to accept anything that happens without feeling any kind of emotion that they didn't like you, or maybe it was a bad day. You just kind of move on.
Yeah. Do you feel that helped craft you and make you the live artist that you are today?
I absolutely think that it had a very heavy hand in how I approach performance now, because obviously because I'm so, well, obviously when I was doing it, what I'm trying to say is when I was doing it, you learn to just ignore the people that aren't paying attention. So if there are people in the crowd when you're doing your originals that aren't really listening to you, you're used to that by now, and you just move on because you go, right, it's not their cup of tea, or they're not like putting it out there that they're listening to me. They're just kind of listening in the background of their mind, and they're doing something else.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It's really important for artists to be like that at the start and go, doesn't look like they're listening, but I'm not playing to them. I'm playing to these people over here that are listening, and maybe I'll circle back around to them if they do become interested.
Yeah, that's an absolutely great point. And in a few moments, we're going to play your brand new single, Fast Lane. Tell us a little bit about Fast Lane. What was it written about?
So Fast Lane was a great concept that I loved messing around with, because Fast Lane is all about people who move at different speeds in their life and what they're doing. So you get a lot of people, well, obviously you get a pretty even split, as it turns out, of people who like to live a million miles an hour, and they want to do as much as they can. They want to achieve as much as they can. They want to just get everything on the plate, and they want to just accomplish so much. Then you've got other people who just kind of like to live in the moment and like to take things as it comes and really enjoy people that are around them and their company, and kind of just take it I know it sounds weird, but one day at a time, because they don't really enjoy the breakneck speed of the other people.
Yeah. Oh, totally. I get you completely. And tell us a little bit about the recording session for Fastlane as well. Who did you work with, and was it kind of held up because of the pandemic as well?
It was, because at the time there was a little bit of a scare going around in Queensland, so there was definitely some obstacles that we needed to overcome to get the recording finished. But we did do a lot of songs in that recording session. We did do a couple more before the Intrapilli cluster. But Fastlane was great to record. I did it with some friends in Nambour at Yamanui Studios with Paulie and Steve, and they're a great bunch of guys to work with. I absolutely love working with them, and doing stuff with them is fantastic. They just make the whole process so much fun. And yeah, it was probably one of my favorites to record, just because we had so many ideas for it.
Yeah, well, like I said, it's an absolutely amazing track. And my first question was when I listened to it was, can we expect something more? Are you going to do an album? Is this part of an EP? What's going to happen next?
We're kind of all like, I'm me and the rest, me and the band and my family are all asking the same thing and going, oh, what is the next step? What is the next chapter? Are the songs that we've released in the past year going to be making up for an EP, or are we working towards an album? We're not actually sure. We're working towards at the moment we're working towards getting a show together to take on the road and hopefully do my first ever solo tour. That would be awesome. That's what we're trying to get together at the moment. But yeah, if it happens and it becomes an EP or an album, then I look forward to I look forward to hearing it as much as everyone else.
Awesome. And when Melbourne opens back up from lockdown, we would love to have you down here as well to do a show. But if people do take a listen to Fastlane and they like it, is it on Spotify or any of the streaming services where they can listen to it as well?
It's going to be everywhere. They can find it Spotify, Apple Music. Heck, they can even find it on SoundCloud if they so wish. But it's gonna be everywhere, and I'll have a music video up there as well, so they can find that one once it's finished. But yeah, it's gonna be. I'm gonna get it in as many places as I physically can.
Awesome. Well, it's about to be played on Subculture right now. So, Aspy, to finish up, what would you like to say to everybody out there before they take a listen to Fastlane for the first time?
I think if I was going to say anything to the people listening to Fastlane, it would be just to, like, obviously people like the whole song suggests, it's people moving at different speeds, but it's to make sure that you stay at the speed that you're comfortable with, and to only move in life when you think you're ready to, and to explore new chapters when you feel you're in the right moment and comfortable to do so.